Hello everyone. Hello everyone and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast is part of the LabZtorm Squal. This audio podcast is part of Sepulchre and Storm and Bostics. This audio podcast is part of the Ship Mode Squad, and this audio podcast is part of a Storm and Bostics production. So through this audio podcast, a look at in around some conclude in around some conclusions. So a body of research, or works suggests that coping strategies have a mediating role in the way that an individual responds to challenges or harmful durations or scenarios. Um, so within the literature and through in vitro studies using, for example, interleukin 15 and interleukin 2, interleukin 15 receptor alpha, and looking at stress cellular adhesion molecules and NK cells, natural killer cells. It is where literature informs that such cells should be investigated or interrogated with an aligned to chemokine receptors such as CCR5, CCR7, and CXCR3 in amongst a T cell in amongst sort of a T cell sort of culture system to understand, for example, if immunology and neurobiology are affected in amongst young people with chronic illness, in amongst young people with differing chronic illnesses. And at the same time, in the same time, there have been considerable theoretical and practical sort of intrigues in around aspects of coping over some decades, and here. And amongst this audio podcast series, there's been a basis to look to sort of form an sort of an interlink to better understand and sort of the broader mechanistics of coping aligned to chronic illnesses, aligned to chronic illness and chronic illnesses. So that draws this audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast as part of the LabZtorm Squal. This audio podcast is part of Sepulchre and Storm and Bostics, and this audio podcast as part of a Storm and as part of the Shipmo Squad, and this audio podcast is part of a Storm and Bostics production.